Okay, now let's talk about the Amazon SNS. So, what if this time you want to send one message and they have many different receivers? So you could have a direct integration where, for example, a buying service application could send an email notification, then send a message to a fraud service, then send a message to a shipping service, then and maybe even send a message to a SQS query. So this is cumbersome because every time you have to add a new receiving service, you need to create and write that integration. Instead, what you may want to do is called a pub sub, publish or subscribe. The idea is that the buying service will send a message into a SNS topic, which is publishing a message into a topic, and that topic will have many subscribers. So those subscribers will be the email notification, fraud service, shipping service, SQS query, and each of the subscriber will be able to receive that message from the SNS topic and have it for their own. And so this is another type of pattern called the pub-sub pattern. So in Amazon SNS, the event producer only sends messages to one specific SNS topic, and event receiver or the subscription, they want to listen to the SNS topic notification, and so therefore each subscriber in your SNS topic will get all the messages sent to that topic, except if you are using a feature to filter messages, and it is possible so as well. So how many subscribers you can get per topic? Well, you can have up to 12 million plus subscription per topic, 12,500 million subscription per topic. Okay, per topic, so quite a lot. Quite a lot here, and the number can change over time, and it will not update this slide. It's just to give you an overview of how many subscribers you can get, and in your account you can get up to 100,000 topics, and you can increase that limit as well, and this can change, but again, just to give you an idea of what that limit may be, but you are never tested on limits themselves for SNS. So for SNS, you are going to publish your subscribers, and what can they be? Well, you can directly send emails from SNS, you can send SMS and mobile notification. You can also send data directly into a specified HTTP or HTTPS endpoints. But SNS also has integration with specific AWS services such as SQS to send your message directly into a queue, to Lambda to have a function do some code after the message is received, or to Kinesis data firehouse to send data into, for example, as Amazon. So for like the for Amazon, for example, like as Amazon Redshift. So on top of it, SNS receives data from a lot of AWS services, so they directly send into it into SNS. So it could be CloudWatch alarms, auto scaling group notifications, cloud formation, state changes, budget, S3 buckets, DMS, database migration service, Lambda, DynamoDB, RDS events, and so on. So you don't have to remember them, but as soon as there is some sort of the notification that happens within AWS, service will send on notification to a specified SNS topic. Now, SNS, and how does that work? To publish a message into SNS, you use the topic publish SDK, and so you create a topic, then you create subscription or many subscription you publish to the SNS topic, and that's it. All the subscriber will automatically retrieve that message, or there is something called direct publish or for mobile apps SDK, and you need to create a platform application, a platform endpoint, and you publish into the platform endpoint, and it works in terms of subscribers for like the Google GCM, Apple APNs, or like Amazon ADM, so which are different ways for your mobile application to receive notification. In terms of security, Amazon SNS has the same kind of security as SQS, So it has a in-flight encryption by default, at rest encryption using KMS keys, and client-side encryption of if your client wants to send some encrypted messages into SNS. But again, it's up to your client responsibility to do the encryption and the decryption in terms of access controls. IAM policies are going to be at the center of the security, because all the SNS APIs will be regulated by IAM policies, and you can define SNS access policies which are very similar to the S3 bucket policies, and they are very helpful. And when you want to have cross-account access to SNS topics, or to allow other services such as your S3 events to write into your SNS topic, so that could be even done. And this is it for the SNS, and I hope you liked it, and I will see you in the next lecture.